What's up, people? I'm Halls, and this is Defeat the Enemy, and today we'll be looking back at my notable games of 2013. We're not going to do Game of the Year this year because GTA 5 pisses on basically everything. There's no point doing Game of the Year. You know what's going to win if you've got any fucking sense. There's no what do you call it, suspense. So Game of the Year cancelled, and just notable games. This is in no particular order. In fact, I'm going by genre. It's not a top 10. It's just some personal standouts. Don't get your panties in a twist if you disagree. It's just what I personally liked. Alright? That said, genre 1, shooters. Okay, the first game on the shooters list that made a lot of noise this year was The Last of Us. Yes, I played it. No, it's not on my list of standout games. Let's just move on from that game. Number 2, Infinite, BioShock Infinite. This was an absolutely beautiful game. Both the graphics and the art style were, awesome. I actually really enjoyed walking around, looking at stuff, but a lot of time was spent, like a large proportion of the time you spent playing the game was spent on story and setting and stuff like that. So while I did like the art, I think it kind of overshadowed the game really. The gameplay was okay but not great, nothing really to write home about. If it wasn't for the graphics, I don't think it would be a standout game at all. So yeah, nice looking average game. Rise of the Triad. Now, despite being a remake of a very old game, this actually felt really original and refreshing. It's so different from the way that shooters have evolved now that it really felt kind of original, even though it's a remake of a very old game. It's not original at all. It was a breath of fresh air for me, really, in a very stale genre, one that I used to like, but now I can't really be bothered with because it's all the same old shit over and over again. So yeah, Rise of the Triad, shooter of the year for me. Okay, on to open world games. First off, we had Saints Row 4. It was good for what it is, but that's not really saying much. It's like a really childish, cartoony GTA clone. It's like playing a Saturday morning cartoon, really, except with swearing. Yeah, it's not really. It's like gangsters for the sake of gangsters. Like it's like they're still cool, but that's kind of played out now. It's not really. It's got nothing. I actually do really like the art style though. It's kind of a cartoony art style, and I think it works really well with the game. So I mean, the art is probably the best thing. The gameplay was kind of mediocre. The world was just copy and paste with a weird little art filter over it. Yeah, it was okay, but still, it's such a tiny genre that it still managed to be a standout game despite that. And obviously, GTA 5, game of all time. No more needs to be said. Okay, retro platformers slash beat 'em ups. Now, this genre seemed to come from absolutely nowhere. Like last year, there was like some pretentious art wank, but there wasn't really any decent platformers or beat 'em ups that managed to grab my attention. This year, it just exploded. So first up, we had Bleed, which was overlooked by pretty much everybody. I didn't really hear much talk about this game, but it's brilliant. Like the gameplay is absolutely fantastic. It basically plays like a cross between Max Payne and Abuse, if you remember Abuse. But yeah, it plays like a cross between those two games, and it's fantastic. Next up, Guacamelee. This got quite a bit of attention, and it was wrestling themed. So for me, that's going to be a major plus. It's going to immediately grab. Immediately going to ring some bells when you say it's wrestling themed. But aside from that, the art is actually really nice. I really like the style. The gameplay is pretty decent. It's kind of a platform beat 'em up. It's kind of a cross between the two genres rather than sitting firmly in one camp. It's kind of a fence sitter in that respect. But yeah, good game. Very good. Dragon's Crown. Now, this game, there was a lot of controversy over this game because the design of one of the characters, the sorceress, like her tits were too big, so some people didn't like it or something. I don't really listen, but yeah, there's this huge big controversy, and that really overshadowed how good this game is. It was fantastic. The gameplay was absolutely spot on. It was really, really good. It borrows heavily from Dungeons and Dragons arcade games. I never actually played them, back in the day, and there were the Tower of Doom and Shadow over Mystara. They were re-released this year, but this Dragon's Crown borrows heavily from these games. But it reminded me a lot, actually, of Golden Axe as well. So I'm not sure who copied who or what and where and everything. But yeah, it reminded me of a modern day Dragon's Crown, but the gameplay is absolutely fantastic. It's so refined and it's deep and it's the best beat 'em up of all time for me, as far as I'm concerned. Even the classics, Final Fight, Double Dragon, you know, I'm trying to improvise now, so I can't think. But yeah, all those old beat 'em ups. This is better than any of them gameplay wise. This is absolutely blows them all away. Dragon's Crown, absolutely fantastic. Right, next, Rogue Legacy. Now this is a rogue light or whatever, so it basically just randomized levels. It's a very basic platformer beat 'em up, but it's constantly on unlocking stuff like new powers, more HP, more armor, whatever. So you're constantly unlocking things, and that keeps you coming back. It's basically kind of a mediocre 2D game, but it's a very effective Skinner box. So you're always unlocking something. There's always like a little reward. There's always, all that random stuff. Really is very addictive. One thing about it is there's more projectile dodging than I personally care for. I don't really like dodging fireballs so much. I prefer just fighting really. But it's a good game. I haven't beaten it yet. I'm going to. So yeah, there we go. Next one, final one in this category is Spelunky. Spelunky is it's probably the most rogue like of all the rogue lights. You're going down a dungeon to get to the treasure at the bottom, which is exactly the same as Rogue, but obviously it's a platformer. You're sort of jumping around, fighting enemies, and what have you. So it's easy to learn how to play. It's very difficult to master the game. It's highly addictive again. I've played the game. It looks very simple and basic, but I've played it for 9 hours, and I feel like I've barely scratched the surface of this game. It's there's a lot to the game. So it's very good. It's getting a lot of attention, and I think it deserves it, to be honest. Okay, now we've got some other games that don't really have a big category. There's in the 3D beat 'em ups. There's quite a few 3D beat 'em ups this year, but the only one really noteworthy, in my opinion, was Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. So I haven't actually played as much as I'd like of it yet. I was waiting on the PC version, but then I got it for free on PS Plus, so I'll probably play it the free one. So I haven't actually got around to playing it yet. I've kind of calculated my backlog. I've got 97 games as of right now to complete before I buy any new ones. So Revengeance is high on the list, but I haven't got to it yet. So yeah, fantastic game. Stealth genre. Again, there's a few stealth games this year. Only one that really caught my eye was Metal Gear Solid Legacy. Now, this is a collection of all of the Metal Gear Solid games up to this point, and it's absolutely amazing. It's PS2 era games, and they're better than almost anything else released this year. If it wasn't for GTA 5, these would be the best games released this year. And how much detail is possible with last generation technology, and how little detail there is in modern games. It's really kind of mind-blowing. When an enemy sees you, they call for backup, but you can shoot their radio, and then they can't call for backup. If you shoot them in the right hand, they can't shoot you. Just little things like that. And these are PS2 games. Modern games doesn't have that shit. You know what I mean? It's just really awesome technology in these games. Also, the gameplay is fantastic. Metal Gear Solid 1 hasn't aged very well, in my opinion, but 2, 3 are just better than pretty much anything that's come out this year. The Legacy Collection is absolutely the best value for money you will find that came out this year, that came out probably in the last 5 years. It's definitely worth picking up if you have a PS3. The last game I want to talk about is Beyond Two Souls. Now, this doesn't have a genre. The only genre it really fits into is the David Cage game genre. I don't know if that counts as a real genre. I think it probably does. There's only 3 games in the genre, but you either like them or you don't like them, really. So this game, I think this game had the best graphics of the year. I think they were definitely the most impressive graphics of the year in this game. Unfortunately, there was 0 gameplay to go along with that. It's just a story, really, that you kind of control. It's basically a visual novel, but without the reading part. So it was the scenes were interesting. Like each individual thing that happened was interesting and good, but they were doing like a time switch kind of thing, like trying to be like Tarantino, but missing the mark. It didn't fit together well. It felt disjointed. As a total package, it wasn't that great. But each individual little segment was very good. Okay, so I said I wasn't going to do Game of the Year. Fuck it. I lied. We're doing it. So GTA 5, disqualified. You're too good. Rockstar, stop showing off. Give the other games a chance, and maybe you're going to win something. It's not fair. Next up, Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection clearly deserves this award, but it's Game of the Year, not Games of the Year. So Metal Gear Solid Legacy Collection DQ. That leaves Dragon's Crown as the best game that came out this year. It is the greatest beat 'em up of all time, in my opinion. The art is beautiful. I mean, you might not like some of the character designs, but whether it's to your taste or not, the quality is very high quality, and the things that aren't affected by that, such as backgrounds, enemies, etc., they're all beautiful. It's like it's like hand painted. It's awesome, absolutely amazing. The gameplay is sublime. The gameplay is just out of this world. It really is. So Dragon's Crown is my game of the year this year. So 2 years, 2 games with the word dragon in the title. So I don't know what dragon games are coming up next year, but look forward to hearing about it next January. Right, till next time.